Sushant Sareen, but this border infrastructure that's been made all along, all the way from Arunachal Pradesh to Daulat Beg Oldi in Ladakh. What's the signal to China, and how would China be viewing India's infrastructure development, sir?
So, Gaurav, let me just add something to what General Hassan has said, and maybe he's just missed that out, but I think it's probably he was alluding to it. Until recently, the Indian defense posture was a defensive one. And as this was articulated by the former defense minister, Mr. Antony, in Parliament, that, the thinking was that if we don't build our infrastructure, if the Chinese make inroads, then, they will not be able to advance very high. I think this kind of infrastructure activity on the Indian side shows the kind of confidence which is there in the Indian armed forces that, look, we are not going to be fighting only a defensive war. We are going to take the war right into your own territory. So just lay off, right? And I think this shows a change in the kind of mindset which is there in the Indian defense forces, in the Indian armed forces, that, we are building up this infrastructure. Apart from the fact that, yes, we can supply our troops, the logistics lines, as General Hasnain was mentioning, but aside of that, you can take this thing forward, which is why you are also setting up a strike corps in the eastern sector. And the reason for that is that, no, this is not just going to be that, okay, fine, we'll be hunkering down, waiting for you to come and defending our territory. Don't be surprised if we are going to pull a couple of surprises on you and taking the war into your territory. So I think
which, as you very rightly know, is not their territory. Mindset. China's an illegal occupation of Tibet. But at the recent India Today conclave, I'd asked the Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan, about the challenges that India faces at our borders, and does the solution lie in the Indian Ocean region. He also spoke of the significance of the Agni 5 Divyastra test. Listen in.
I'm a strong proponent of geography. It shapes the strategic outlook of nations. For us, the Himalayas have been providing us security since ages, actually. But of late, because of advancement of technology, you can know that the Himalayas are no longer an impediment because you have missiles, you have aircrafts, and then, of course, we've been able to breach it by advancing mobility options in Himalayas. So, to some extent, the impregnability of Himalayas, if I would say, has diminished slightly for us. But then, of course, we also have a geographical advantage because of our peninsular shape, which juts out into the Indian Ocean, flanked by 2 island territories, which gives us a lot of strategic depth. And the access to Indian Ocean region is very, very restricted, and we enjoy a predominant position. So I think we need to balance out between our continental challenges and maritime challenges.
Tell us more about this Divyastra that India has just tested. Why is the testing of the Agni 5, the MIRV, so significant?
Let me say that we have a nuclear doctrine which professes no first use. And I think, hence, the credibility of our deterrence has to be very, very high. This particular test actually testifies this, that, the credibility of our doctrine. When we talked about deterrence, there's an element of communication into it. That means we should be able to communicate. If you don't communicate to the adversary what you possess, then the deterrences have got no value. So this particular test is a part of a communication. So this will strengthen deterrence, and I believe in the long run will promote strategic stability in the neighborhood. But right now, I think it's time to congratulate all those people who are involved in the test, especially DRDO.
Okay. Last 20 seconds on this part of the broadcast, but General Hasnain, India and what we're doing in the Lakshadweep Islands and the Agni 5 test, what's the significance, sir? What's the message to China?
Once again, thank you. Excellent question. The issue is India has had a continental mindset. We have been dug down, we've been hunkered down by the fact that in 1962, when China went to war with us, we couldn't defend ourselves. And thereafter, our approach has been entirely defensive, exactly what Sushant was just talking about. And even in subsequent years, if you really look at it, we never exploited the maritime domain. The maritime domain is where China's vulnerability lies. Its 14% growth, its average 10% growth over many years has been enabled because of the sea lines of communication which have moved unhampered, unhindered by India, right from the Suez to the Straits of Malacca to the eastern seaboard of China where the manufacturing centers are. And from there, the returning traffic, container traffic of goods which have gone all the way to South Asia, Middle East, Europe and Africa. Now, if this area is where the Chinese feel vulnerable, that's the area where India needs to be a little more aggressive. I won't say provocative. We have no intention of doing anything aggressive there as such.
Okay.
But I think the adequate messaging should be there that this is this is the domain where we can make a difference. And that's exactly what's happening with the Andaman and Nicobar Command and the setting up of the Laka Defense Facility.